I think a lot of people hear Men's Health Clinic and don't really know what to expect. I've talked to a few people who went to game day Men's Health Solon, and they all said the same thing. It wasn't what I thought. It's not awkward. It's not rushed, and nobody's trying to sell you stuff you don't need. Board-certified medical staff actually sit down with you, go through your labs, and explain things like testosterone levels, weight loss, and even ED in a way that makes sense. It's just real, straightforward healthcare. If you've ever been curious, Game Day Solon is the best first step.
All right, good stuff. Thanks to Game Day Solon for being a part of the show. We appreciate that, guys. We all know Greg Cosell is as good as it gets. And unlike most of us, pretty much everybody else in the business, he leaves emotion out of it. There's never emotion. He watches the tape, and he gives you his opinion. And if he doesn't know, he says, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's not he doesn't love, he's not like, I love this guy because here's what I see here. So we'll actually hear what he had to say about the Browns' 2 first-round picks later. But first, we're going to talk about one of the Browns' second-round picks, E-Man. Not EMW, but apparently he goes by the nickname E-Man.
Yes, sir. E-Man it is then.
The first defensive player drafted by the Browns this year. And this was definitely a guy that Greg Cosell liked a lot. Here's, again, Greg Cosell on my podcast, The Bullpen, with Bet Rivers. Here he is. What do you make of him? A lot of people felt like he should have gone earlier.
He probably didn't because he ran a 4.52, which, again, you can decide what that means, Adam.
Right,
that's another one of those things. Everybody's going to have a different opinion on what that means. If he ran a 4.44, he probably would have gone higher. I think he also did not play in a Power 4 conference, so I'm sure that impacted the way some people think as well.
True.
And there are some teams that believe, hey, if a guy plays in a Power 4, we're going to draft him. If not, then he gets pushed down the board a little bit. I certainly don't know the philosophy of the Browns front office, so I can't speak to that. But I really like this player, and I think that you couldn't make the argument that he's not necessarily the best safety in this draft class, but the most physically gifted safety because he's 6'3.5".
Yeah.
And he moves really, really well. He's got a loose, rangy feel to his movement. He's fluid. He's got light, quick feet. He's got some twitch to him. I heard a lot of people say during the draft that, he's a box player. I think he's more than that. And again, I don't know how he'll be deployed in the new defense. I don't know what the plans are, but you're dealing with a guy that has size, length, physicality, play speed, range, versatility, competitiveness. There's not much to dislike based on watching him play. Now, everybody has a transition to the NFL, so I don't want to give the impression that he's going to step right in, and be, a top 3 safety in the league. But it's all there in his body.
That's some pretty high praise for the E-Man there, G. Bush. What'd you think of what he had to say?
I thought he was spot on. Coming from a MAC school, we kind of, when we went way back in the day when we used to go to pro days, it was weird because they used to just basically let you know, if you to even get looked at and considered to be drafted, you had to A, have tremendous tape, you had to B, have tremendous numbers, and C, you had to have tremendous physicals that popped off the charts.
Yeah.
If you were just anywhere in the middle, he ran a 4.52, he's spot on with that. If he would have ran a 4.46 or anything like that, now all of a sudden teams are willing to take him a little bit higher because he has the opportunity to say his skill set, his speed, his agility, his quickness, his jumping ability, that is something you could compare to anybody. If you're fast in Antarctica, that means you fast in Canada. It is what it is. You fast everywhere. So, but the thing about him is that his football instincts do not lie. And when you watch him, you ask yourself, man, how would he's one of the guys who definitely look at that play. Yeah. He's one of those dudes who you see getting in the transfer portal and he goes from Toledo to Tennessee. And he becomes a first round. He goes from Toledo to USC, and he's a first round pick. Because I looked at it and said, how did this guy not hit the portal? How did somebody not give him a tremendous NIL deal? Because from when you watch him, his instincts, he's big, he's a hitter, he can close on the football, he has fluent hips. He can do it all. And the thing I love about this for the Cleveland Browns is we talked about it specifically with the offensive line. We wanted to improve the offensive line. We knew we needed to improve the receivers, right? We didn't even think they was going to get somebody that could potentially help improve the defense, McNuggets.
I mean, we thought maybe at 39 if he's still there, maybe at 24 if you liked him that much. But the thing I like most about E-Man is that in today's NFL, both offensively and defensively, it's taking a page out of the NBA's playbook. You're hunting mismatches, right? And that's why some of these tight ends like Harold Fannin, who are too big for traditional cornerbacks, but too quick for some linebackers, are so difficult to guard. And you look at the defensive side of the ball, guys like Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore, Nick Emmanuel-Warren in Seattle. The best safeties in football are now these guys that can come down and play in the box. They can play the deep post. They're mismatched. They're Swiss Army knives that the coordinators and the coaches can use to the best of their ability. This guy, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, fits that criteria. There are certain positions where I'm more tied to the physical traits than others, right? There have been undersized safeties in the past that have had success. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but the best safeties in the league right now, the Derwin James, the Kyle Hamiltons, the Eamon Warriors, they're all 6'3", 6'4", with length and speed to be able to cover whoever in coverage, but they're also big enough to play in the box, make an impact in the run game, and that is the physical traits that this guy brings to the field. We'll see if it translates from Toledo to the NFL. It's a big jump, but Quinyon Mitchell, out of the same school, in Philadelphia, in a different position, made that transition seamlessly. I'm hoping this is the same thing.
This is not like he came from 1AA or Division III. I mean, I don't think it's that big a jump.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen plenty of guys from the MAC come into the NFL and have success. By the way, later, you mentioned Harold Fannin. Later in the interview with Greg Cosell, he said, he's like, I got to say, Harold Fannin is one of the players I got wrong. He's like, I didn't think he'd be a bust, but I thought he'd just be okay, and he was a lot better than he thought he'd be. The fact that he says, like, this guy is basically what he's saying is, if he gets high-level coaching, this guy can be a superstar. Because all the talent is there. I mean, maybe he has good speed, not elite speed, whatever. But I don't know. When it comes to safety, I'm never like, oh, the guy's not fast enough. I mean, it's not like he's slow.
No. Now, any safety nowadays, like, if you get put in a position where a safety is covering a slot receiver, I mean, that's not something you really want out of any safety.
Sure,
really.
Right.
But if you were talking about a guy that can just play at different positions, everybody wants to run 2 tight end sets. Everybody wants to get bigger people in the field.
It's more important than ever now.
And so now you got guys where I used to see the Browns do that. The Browns would put 2-3 tight ends out, on the field with Kevin Stefanski, but because they didn't have any other people around, guys were just locking our tight ends up. They were just like, this isn't a mismatch.
And I know we haven't seen Mike Rutenberg, the new defensive coordinator, officially implement his scheme yet. He's never been a full-time DC, but everyone from Atlanta says he likes to run more nickel than anything else, which is pretty common in today's NFL. The way you counter nickels, you run the football, right? Well, if your third defensive back, your nickel, is E-Man, who is good against the run and is not 6'3", what did they say, 6'3", 220? Compared to, and I'm just going to use Miles Harden, who played that spot last year, who's 6'1", $195.
Right.
You got much more size
difference
to stop the run, and then you have a linebacker crew, if you could include the nickel as the third linebacker.
Right.
E-Man, Schlesinger, and Quincy Williams. Like, that feels like the necessary requisite athleticism, size, speed, strength, bulk, to be able to be versatile against both the run and the pass.
Yeah, on paper and on video, this appears to be a very strong pick by the Browns and what appears to be, on paper, a very strong draft. We'll see on the field, but so far so good.
And the thing that I like most about it is Ronnie Hickman is a very solid pro. He's a solid pro. Like, he's nothing special.
Yeah.
But Ronnie Hickman is very serviceable. And the thing that we talk about when you're playing a lot of young guys is, what about the depth?
Yeah.
I think in football we miss this a lot. It's not about if you get hurt. It's just when.
Right.
Like, it's going to happen. There's going to, and God forbid it happen, but there's going to be, like Martin Emerson, out for the season in training camp.
Right.
Guys early on.
It's not even just that, G. Good teams draft the replacements for guys that they're not going to re-sign. And if this is eventually just Ronnie Hickman's replacement and you get another good year from Hickman and you let him walk in free agency because you like Delpit and you like E-Man who's coming in behind him, then you're set. And you don't have to worry
E-Man's not definitely a starter week 1. I think he will be at some point in the season, but he's not necessarily going to be week 1. And with good teams, a lot of times you draft a guy the year before. You get him ready the first year. You don't have to, at wide receiver, the Browns are going to play these guys because they don't have much offensive line, But ideally, when you draft guys second, third, fourth round, yeah, you want them to be starters, but not necessarily the first year.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, they can kind of learn on the fly a little bit on second, third, fourth year behind somebody else, and then take over the following year. In a perfect world, we'll see what happens. All right, we'll hear more from Greg Cosell on both first round picks coming up in the next hour. But